So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the stars of the trip to Italy, Rob Brydon and Steve Coogan. Hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome. So, Richard Curtis described it as one of the greatest TV programs of all time, the first series.
Well, don't let that put you off. I
No.
mean, no.
Yeah, exactly. Did you
I'm
feel
only joking, I'm joking.
Were you surprised at this? Because I know initially when the whole idea was mooted, you were kind of both reluctant to do the first series and then even more reluctant, I understand.
Well,
to do the second series.
it sounded as though it could have been very self-indulgent. And also, I distinctly remember when Michael said you'll be improvising most of it, me thinking, what, you could improv, because, you know, in this country it's a series, in the rest of the world it's a film.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, 6.5 hours of improvised? I remember saying at the end, well, maybe 1.5 hour, yes. So we were very, we had to be persuaded to do it.
We didn't, neither of us wanted to do it for a lot, because we just didn't want it to be, also, celebrities playing themselves in things has sort of been done a bit, and it's not like it was a novel idea. So unless it transcended just being self-satire, then we wouldn't bother doing it. And Michael kept twisting our arm, and he said it'll be about other stuff, you know, and
he pushed the food angle. At the second lunch we had to discuss it, he really, do you remember? Really
it's also about the food, not just you. It's about the food.
Yeah.
You know?
And then it started, and then it was the fact that it seemed risky and different that made it really appealing then.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, I suppose there's always the notion that to do interesting stuff, you've got to risk failure, and it definitely felt like it was risking failure.
Did it? Yeah. When you're in the middle of shooting it and you're improvising all these scenes and you're filming loads and loads and loads of stuff, much longer than we actually get to see in the end. Are you surprised when you watch what Michael had come up with in the final edit? Michael Winterbottom we're talking about.
Yeah, well,
he picks out.
Yeah, see, he's not a comic person, so he doesn't edit for jokes. He doesn't edit for comic rhythms, which frustrated me at first.
Me too, yeah.
And I remember sending him a long email saying, well, hang on a minute. You know, you're missing a thing here, and you've got to let that go a bit longer and a bit sooner. But ultimately, I think that's what makes it what it is, because you get two kind of comic sensibilities, and with him, and it becomes something very interesting.
I think, Michael doesn't. In fact, Michael kicks against anything that smacks of being overcrafted, if you like, almost deliberately. Well, no, deliberately. Actually, if there's a particular, I mean, in anything he does, frankly. I mean, I remember working on the film I did before this, the thing about Paul Ray, Look of Love. Look of Love.
Look of Love. Yeah.
And there was. Cheap joke.
First laugh of the afternoon. No, I think, in all honesty, we needed it.
I thought they wanted to know about how we made it, not just to come in for a cheap laugh.
We've had a laugh, now we can carry on.
Okay.
Come on.
Anyway, I think if something's if there's a line in there that's sort of overcrafted, he'll just say, I want to cut that. I'd say, oh, that's a very funny line. You go, oh, well, we're not going to do it then, because he wants it to be all, if you like, uneven and irregular and slightly deliberately imperfect.
A bit ramshackle. A little
ramshackle.
Ironically,
I'm throwing that word in.
Given that it's a program about food, he never gives the audience something on a plate.
Oh.
No, but it's kind of true. He doesn't. He never makes it.
You should write for The Guardian.
Or The Observer.
The Junior Guardian.
Yeah.
No, he never does.
Yeah.
It's like he just wants to tell his story. Right. You know, as a comedian, especially when you're on the stage, it's all about manipulating the audience, basically. Yeah. You set them up, and then you go like that. And he's the antithesis of that. Right. He will not manipulate them.
So is he the one? He's coming up with these kind of things for you to talk about, is he? And the kind of, like the first one, a lot of it, the kind of you were going in the first one. Your version of yourself was going through quite a bad time and was sleep-deprived with a woman. This time, you're kind of the one who has a slightly more in turmoil, I would say, or has slightly more interesting things going on.
With the things, you know, I've got itchy feet. I'm looking for adventure.
Yeah,
right.
You're a bit more settled.
Yeah, I mean,
so does Michael come out with those kind of stories?
I think he just wanted to make the second trip sound a bit different to the first trip. But I think he failed. It is the same as the first one. It's just in Italy with the better food,
is
nicer scenery.
Not nice. It is nicer scenery. I mean,
stunning, isn't it? Especially once we get down by about, you know, as it progresses. We start in the north, we end up on Capri, and it gets more golden as it goes on. And by the time we got to the Amalfi Coast, it was breathtaking.
Yeah.
I mean, on one level, there are moments of it where the two of you are sitting there, and I think we'll see a clip in a second, of in a beautiful surrounds, kind of having a wonderful time, bouncing with each other. It does feel like the most wonderful time you could have. Is it as enjoyable as it looks to make?
It was.
This one was because there was a certain angst about the first one because we didn't know if it was a colossal waste of time or not, and sometimes that can mean that the second series, we always talk about this in the first episode about second album syndrome, whether it's just going to be a pale imitation of the first, and maybe if it's just an imitation of the first, that's okay. But we just didn't apologise for that. Really, we didn't try to. We didn't try to do anything radically different.
But yeah, as jobs go, it was probably the most enjoyable job I've ever had because it was a small crew and know a lot of the crew. I'd met Steve before, so it was. It was really lovely. We'd eat in the evenings together. It was fantastic.
So you'd eat in the evenings after you acted the eating.
I mean, we when we improvise, what we do is press each other's buttons and try and find the things about each other that we know. And we'd also bring to the fore aspects of our own personalities that we know are unsympathetic but more interesting. I mean, we could improvise a meal where we just get on very well and have very bland conversation.
Those were the real meals.
Those were the real dinners we had in the evening.
Yeah.
Just to gossip about friends and what they're doing.
But it was very enjoyable because we were kind of used to it, and it was. I just finished Partridge and Philomena, both back to back. So when I came and did this, it was like a holiday. It really was, because it was. In terms of, although you have to think about it, and it is hard work, it's still relatively, it's the easiest job I did last year.
Right, good. Well, let's have a look. I've got another clip here, and you'll see just how kind of gloriously beautiful it is. Do you get a giddy joy from making Steve laugh? I mean, that seems like he's genuinely.
That was fun. That was a fun scene. But that was a smashing day, wasn't it? Because the weather. I mean, it's stunning. The food is great. That was a fun bit. Yeah.
It's
it is nice. Yeah, I do get a kick out of making him laugh.
We do.
Yeah.
It's sort of. Someone said before, "Oh, are there any outtakes?" Well, there aren't any outtakes because we're behaving like ourselves. So if I laugh at something he says, then it just stays in. So there's no point ever. Michael goes, "Oh, cuts! You've all started laughing." Or, it's all everything's in there.
There is an incredible authenticity to it, isn't there? Because in a way, it's like you've got incredible freedom. Because I guess most TV shows, most films now, you have to get notes from producers and.
Oh, it feels
fantastic.
Like you can just do anything. That's the great thing about it. I mean, we were traveling like a little band of players, and the work wasn't from a script. You were creating, so you felt so creative.
Yes, there was. Michael would. Sometimes Rob and I would say, "Oh, why don't we talk about that? That'll be funny. Let's talk about." And that would generate material. It would be us saying, "Let's." We'd have an idea, and then we'd say, "Let's just try that." And Michael would like it or not like it. If he liked it, so let's talk about it more.
And sometimes, at dinner the night before, we'd be having what we thought was a perfectly innocent conversation, and he'd say, "Oh, I'll do this tomorrow." And we go, "Really? You think that's funny? Oh, okay." And we would do it the next day, and it's a great way to work because things happening.
So the only thing was Michael would sort of, if you like, have a very loose structure and know where he wanted it to, how he wanted the. There's a bit of an arc, not much, but I mean. So it sort of resolves itself at the end, and he wanted to make sure we arrived at those points.
Yeah.
And also we're supposed to be retracing the steps of the Romantic Poets and the Grand Tour of 1800 or whatever it was.
Well, there's a few different levels it's operating because you've got the things we've seen and the impressions, which are brilliantly funny, all of that. But there's the stuff about the Romantic Poets. There's the stuff that it ends up being quite melancholic, I think, about men of I was going to say your age, my age.
It's all about aging. We're both 48, and you find at this age you have a lot of conversations with your male friends about it. About, are you feeling this? Are you noticing that? It's a midlife crisis with small M's and L's and C's, and that goes throughout it. And I love that part of it.
And in this series, we see a little bit more of your families. We see your son arrives in the last episode, which hopefully isn't a spoiler. I'm just thinking, no, it's kind of, and it's lovely. But it's lovely to see you kind of hanging out. You hang out with his assistant more. Those scenes, I think, are kind of, they've got a lovely kind of naturalism to it. Was that a thing that Michael wanted to consciously do, bring more of your?
Well,
see more of your
I think what's interesting is that there's always, although there is a certain cynicism to the tone of it, that Michael always returns to. Something he's always sincere in the resolve of his all his films. I think there's always something sincere at the end. I think this is sincere. There's no
Yeah.
He throws away the inverted commas for the last
Absolutely.
episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to throw them to the audience for a few questions. Before I do, I've got some really obvious, stupid questions, but you do run the gamut of the impressions we've seen. Which are each of your favourite impressions that the other one does?
Neil Kinnock.
Yeah,
I love
Neil
his
Kinnock
Neil,
is
and he
brilliant.
does Neil
No
Kinnock
one knows
in this
who he
series.
is.
I know, but that's my honest answer. Is I'm Welsh,
Shows you
so
when I
maybe
stopped doing it. years
maybe
ago.
it chimes with me. But his Neil Kinnock. I mean, I do think Steve's. I always get asked in interviews about who does the best impressions, and I think it's him. They're forensically good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's a lack of joy to them. I would say that. But
No, I'd go along with that.
But yeah, it's true. No, it sounds like a joke, but it's kind of true.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
his are forensically accurate, and his
absolutely.
Kinnock is stunning.
Yeah. And Steve, what's Rob's best?
Here we go.
I don't
Here it
really
comes.
have a
I don't
favourite
really
one.
have
I
one.
haven't spent
Yeah.
much time thinking about it,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But no,
I've never
Rob,
heard that before.
No, I think Rob does.
Ronnie Corbett.
Well, yeah, but I think I do a pretty good Ronnie Corbett.
I don't.
too.
I think mine is better.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you want a Ronnie Corbett off?
Yeah.
I don't
Come
think.
on.
I don't think
Come
that's
on.
what the people want to hear.
I think it is.
Go on, so you do yours first.
All right.
Look, we've never heard yours, Rob.
Right. There I was. I do very, very, very old Ronnie Corbett now. Very old, indeed. It's not the one about the chap that goes to the chemist. I'm doing Ronnie Corbett.
Sounding mine, right?
And by the way, good heavens, it was the one day in the year. It was the one day in the year. And by the way, it was. I remember the day quite clearly because it was the one day in the year, when Allied Carpets weren't having a sale. Good heavens.
That's the young Ronnie. That's classic Ronnie. That's vintage Ron.
We'll call it a draw.
That was, I think that was pretty good. Yeah. I mean, they are forensic ones. You're right. I mean, you do two versions of Al Pacino. You do the young Al Pacino and the post kind of sore throat Al Pacino, if we can call it.
In The Godfather,
Yeah.
Luca Brasi held a gun to his head,
Yeah.
and my father assured him either his brains or his signature will be on a contract.
But there's actually there's a middle Al Pacino too. Where it's a little more.
What's that, Bobby Deerfield? Is
Where
it
it's a
around
little more
there?
husky. There's
You don't want the way he speaks today. It's not like that.
That's an American Neil Kinnock.
No, it's not.
The hell is that?
Fuck you.
And fuck you again.
No, you're trying to change it to something that it's not. You know you're not.
What do you got?
It's the licking the lips. I don't know why you're licking your lips. Like a lizard.
3 Al Pacinos. That's what you get in this event and on the trip. Okay, let's throw it open to the audience. We haven't got long, but we've got. I think we've got like 8-9 minutes. So.
Just wondering, are you going to be making any more episodes of the trip, like any more series in the future?
We'll just finish this lot. I want to do some more. No,
Maybe one day. Who knows? Who
we
knows?
might do another one. We'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, this one hasn't come out yet. So
If people like it, maybe people hate it, or if it's 50-50, we probably won't. If 70% people like it, probably will.
yeah.
I think that's going to.
There is something quite appealing. In the past, I would have said, "Oh no," but there is something quite appealing, I think, about revisiting it and as the years progress. Because already between this and the last one, it's about 3 or 4 years, and it's changed. I do find that quite appealing to
It's
see us
like
age.
that series of films
Seven
before
Up.
midnight.
Oh,
No, before
that.
and
Yeah,
after
yeah.
midnight, after sunrise. And
Yes.
the people compared ours, and I think theirs is sort of a version of ours, which is not funny.
Yeah.
But probably with more depth.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh yeah, gentleman in the back row.
Hi guys. In the first series, the plot progression seemed to kind of hang around as a backdrop to give context to the conversations you'd have over dinner. In this series, did you want to bring it more to the forefront? And you mentioned Rob's troubles. Did you bring it troubles? Sorry to use the word troubles. Did you keep it? Did you want to bring it more forward, or did you stick to the same approach as before?
It's the same as before, mate. It really is. It's just the same as.
Very long question.
There's a bit. It's the same as before. There's an ostensible structure, and we just thought we'd change it around a bit, make it Rob the philanderer, make me someone who's settling down, so that's what we sort of saw through to the end, and you see a certain kind of resolution to it, but
it's pretty similar. It's pretty similar.
Pretty much the same as the last one, really. I mean, yeah. So no, there isn't much plot. Is the answer to your question?
Thank you. Go to that lady just there. Standing up. Sorry, then I'll come to you. Sorry.
Who chose where to eat?
Michael Winterbottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's all planned out in advance.
He does. He goes on a trip to Italy himself.
Yes.
With his producing partner, who's also his wife, and they
tirelessly
a long, tireless trip round Italy, choosing the best restaurants, and it's all tax deductible. So it's work.
Yeah. Thank you. And then the lady at the front.
Actually, I would just add to that, the interesting thing is that on the first series, there were a few restaurants that we wanted to film in that said no because we couldn't show them a script. So they thought, well, what if they say horrible things about our restaurant? But every restaurant we filmed in, their business went through the roof once the show had gone out. And there were websites crashing and all sorts. So, they should have said yes.
Thank you.
One thing you hated and one thing you loved about Italy. Not the food, not the wine.
I don't think I hated anything about Italy. We didn't have to drive.
No, but other people's driving.
Oh, yeah, the driving's crazy, but I wouldn't say I hated the driving's pretty wild.
This lane discipline's terrible.
Lane discipline is non-existent, yeah.
Well, you did ask. Just no discipline. I maybe appreciate this country, actually, in terms of driving characteristics.
You were telling Nigel Farage that, weren't you, the other
day? I was,
yeah.
And the Top Gear guys.
The Top Gear guys, yeah.
I mean, people have a go at Nige, but on a lot of points.
Yeah, we're having a good old chin. We're putting the world to rights with our white friends. No, what did I like? I'll tell you what I liked about it is the sort of, at the risk of offending the French, the fact that they are there's a kind of a braggadocio, there's something very honest and forthright about the way that the Italians have in their nature, which is, you don't feel there's any duplicity. If they tell you they love you, you think they mean it, and if they tell you to fuck off, they mean it. But in France, you think they might be polite to you, but they might not actually. They might be thinking something very different. So there's sort of
Steve's never liked the French boy. Move on.
Yeah.
Famously.
Well, their food as well. They claim to have this gastronomic kings, and they've been cooking the same food
move
for
on.
30 years.
Move on.
They've not changed it.
Next question.
It's
Next
all right.
question.
It's
all
the
right.
same.
So
Same.
I know.
It's
They
not,
all agree. They all
and they
agree.
think it's like the wine. And now New World wine.
know.
They weren't expecting it, were they?
No.
Enough about the French.
There we are.
Gentleman there at the front, Strokes T-shirt, man.
Hey, how often would you guys meet up for dinner in another year? Did you just film series 1 and then see each other on series 2?
We see very little of each other. Is the truth?
Yeah. But basically, what's good is that when we do meet up for the second series, there's this sort of well of experience that we've both accumulated
Separately.
And that
No, we
can
don't
then
really. He lives on the south coast and travels the world a lot. I live in Teddington.
with lots of old celebrities.
Yes. Yeah. Near the old retirement home. It's true, actually. That's very true.
But
That's very true.
So no, we don't really. I mean, occasionally I'll ring him up and or we'll have we'll exchange a few emails, about
brisk emails
about related matters. And then we just turn up.
A heated email exchange.
Yeah.
About what? What do you have
They're very, very dull email exchanges we have, actually.
Yeah.
But anyway, the thing is, we wait until the next time we work together.
I don't like to be with Steve unless I'm being financially remunerated. Compensated.
Yeah.
In the first series, you do a lot of walking in between having dinner. Did you guys put on weight? Is there sort of an exercise regime in this?
Well, it's funny to say that. Every morning we would say because it's very sedentary kind of improvisation. It's not like we're leaping over fences and scaling walls as we improvise. We just sit there. And we eat lots of carbs and sit there and talk. And so we would both separately do sit-ups and push-ups in the morning,
And then at
go for a run.
breakfast we'd say, "What have you done?"
We'd say, "How many sit-ups did you do this morning?" And introduce the element of competitiveness.
I put on 8 pounds in the first series, which I struggled to get rid of. But in this series, I didn't put on anything because I didn't gorge myself.
I think I was about the same. Yeah, we tried to keep a lid on it, so to speak.
He was very active during the filming. He's a brave man, and he dived off whenever we were near a coast. He would find a precipice at quite a height and dive off. And I have this on my iPhone.
About 30
filmed.
feet? About 30.
One was 30 feet, quite seriously. And I think
Not
when we
jump, a dive.
No, a dive, proper dive.
dive.
I mean, you know, had he got on to that Tom Daly show splash, and I know you got down to the last 3, and I know it still hurts, but had he got on, he wouldn't have done well because there wasn't a lot of. But it was brave and it was a dive. And I think when we do the DVD, we should put all those. There's a lot of funny stuff that I just took on the phone.
Why isn't the diving in the show? It's not.
Yeah, why
Well,
wasn't
Michael was very annoyed when he found out that I'd done that because he said I wasn't insured for it. But Rob basically said I could dive off that, and Rob dared me. And then I couldn't back down. Then I was quite scared.
It was very high, very high.
Hi, Rob and Steve. Hi.
Hello.
In the first season, we saw there's a bit
series. Not in America.
In the first series, we
saw spring and summer seasons.
We saw that there was a bit of competition between you two in terms of your acting careers and who was more successful.
Oh well,
does that come up again in this?
Come on, that has been settled once and for all.
Well,
yeah, Philadelphia. Come on.
He's been dying to say that all day.
Bringing the fight for. I mean, it was just all there.
I'm glad that I hadn't had my film hadn't had 4 Oscar nominations before we did.
How many was that?
4.
4 Oscar nominations
before we did the series, because that would have basically rendered a lot of Rob's abuse of me redundant, because I could have just done that every time he had a go at me. You know. But
I got to say, to lose in 4 categories is quite. But you've taken it on the chin, and all credit to you for that.
I know. You can imagine how that feels, can't you? Because that's all you'll ever be able to do.
No, listen. All jokes aside, when I heard about the nominations, I was fucking livid. But what can you do? You've got to pick up the pieces and you've got to move on.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
But you do get off for the Hollywood role in the show, in this series. That's an interesting.
Yeah, but not in real life.
No, okay. Yeah. It is a bit. Yeah. Steve's astonished. We kind of. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, but
that was something interesting because in one scene I'm helping him do
an audition.
An audition on his iPad to then send off.
Yeah.
And then what happened in reality was.
I genuinely had a real audition for a Hollywood
film. And I did
film.
help him in the evening and actually gave him some tips on his performance.
And I didn't get the part.
Didn't get the part.
Well. So thank you all for coming, and thanks to Rob, Brydon, and Steve Coogan. And the trip starts next Friday. Next Friday on TV.
Yeah, next Friday. Thank you. Cheers.